So what's really grabbing headlines right now, it's India's serious push to get those 26 Rafale Marine jets from France for the Navy.
Yeah, that's right. A significant move.
And that immediately made me think, you want the key info right without wading through everything.
Cut straight to the chase.
Exactly. So this deep dive, we're getting right into why this Rafale M deal is such a game changer for India, especially with China's Navy growing its presence, in the Indian Ocean.
It's a critical context, definitely.
We've looked at the news. Expert takes the whole 9 yards, really, to get you the core stuff.
Synthesize the key points.
Our mission today, let's understand this Rafale M deal, pin down what makes it different from the Air Force version.
Just specific naval modifications.
Right, and see how it's going to, supercharge India's naval power and its standing in the Indian Ocean. Okay, let's break it down.
Sound good. And it's fascinating, the strategic thinking behind it. This isn't happening in a vacuum.
No, absolutely not. India's air power modernization, it's been deliberate. And this naval piece feels vital now.
Especially with the shifting dynamics in the Indian Ocean. You really need that capability.
Totally agree. So let's just lay out the basics. We're talking 26 Rafale Marine jets.
Correct.
And they're heading for India's carriers, INS Vikrant and INS Vikramaditya.
That's the plan. They won't be alone, though.
Right. They'll work alongside the existing MiG-29Ks, the Russian ones.
Yes, integrated into the carrier air wing.
And the deal itself looks like it might wrap up pretty soon. End of the financial year, maybe?
That's the expectation, yes. Things seem to be moving relatively quickly now.
And important to remember the bigger picture, too. The Air Force is also getting more Rafales, another 114.
Which really underscores the commitment. It's not just the Navy.
Shows a comprehensive strategy, boosting air power across the board.
It paints a picture of building a layered, interoperable force. Not just replacing old planes, but building a whole capability around the Rafale platform.
Okay, so for many of us familiar with the Air Force Rafales, what makes these Rafale M's specifically naval? What are the key differences?
Right. That's the core question. Adapting it for sea duty. It's a very different, very harsh environment.
I bet.
So first off, the undercarriage and the landing gear. They're significantly beefed up, reinforced.
Okay, why exactly?
Well, think about it. You're basically slamming the plane onto a moving pitching deck, not gliding onto a long runway.
Right, controlled crash almost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that gear needs to take incredible repeated impacts. It's fundamental for carrier ops.
Makes sense. Beefing that up is essential. What else?
Then you got the tail hook. That's a classic carrier feature, right? For arrested landings.
To catch the wires on deck.
Precisely. Stops the aircraft in a very, very short distance. And there's also a jump strut nose wheel.
What's that for?
It helps with launches, particularly the ski jump style launches that India's carriers use, but also potentially catapults if needed in future designs.
Okay, so those are the real hardware changes, the visible stuff. What about fitting onto a crowded carrier deck?
Ah, yes. Space is always at a premium on a carrier. So foldable wings. That's key.
The Rafale M has foldable wings.
Yes, the M variant does. Allows you to pack more aircraft onto the deck and into the hangar bays. Much more efficient.
That must make a huge difference operationally. There was some talk about elevators needing redesign.
That point came up regarding earlier Rafale versions, which maybe didn't have them, but the Rafale M is confirmed to have foldable wings. So that's a big plus for India's current carriers.
Got it. Okay, folding wings are a go. What about the tech inside? The brains of the plane?
Also tailored for maritime work. You're looking at different maritime optimized avionics and sensors.
Like the radar.
Exactly. Likely an advanced ASR radar, optimized for tracking ships, dealing with sea clutter, that sort of thing. Better performance against naval targets.
And things like electronic warfare.
Yes. EIW suites, specifically designed for naval combat. Better at identifying and countering anti-ship missile threats, and just building that crucial situational awareness over huge stretches of ocean.
So it's really a whole different beast, optimized for the sea, not just an Air Force jet with a hook bolted on.
Not at all. It's a comprehensive naval adaptation.
Okay, let's zoom out then. Strategic implications. Why is this deal so important, especially looking at the Indian Ocean and, well, China's naval growth?
This is where it gets really strategic. China's naval expansion in the Indian Ocean region, it's undeniable. Their carriers, especially the new Fujin with its electromagnetic catapults.
That's a big leap in capability for them.
It absolutely is. So the Rafale M gives India a crucial high-end capability to counterbalance that growing presence.
How specifically does it help India level the playing field?
Well, first, it significantly boosts India's air superiority at sea. The Rafale M carries some very potent missiles.
Like the Meteor. We hear a lot about that one.
Exactly. The Meteor Beyond Visual Range air-to-air missile. It has a significantly longer range than many competitors, like the AMRAAM used on the Super Hornet. That gives pilots a major advantage shoot first.
A real edge in air combat. What about attacking ships?
It carries the Exocet anti-ship missile, a proven, powerful weapon. So it's not just about defense. It gives the Indian Navy a serious offensive punch against surface threats.
So, better defense, stronger offense. It allows India to project power further out.
Precisely. Force projection is key. The Rafale M extends India's reach across the IOR, and its advanced sensors mean much better maritime domain awareness.
Seeing what's out there, ISR, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance.
Exactly. Better eyes across vast ocean areas. Finding, tracking, and potentially targeting threats much more effectively, that's vital for controlling the maritime space.
Yeah, something you touched on earlier, India already flies Rafales in the Air Force. How much does that commonality help, having the same basic plane for the Navy?
Oh, it's a huge advantage. Huge.
Yeah.
Think about the logistics first. Shared parts, shared components, streamlined supply chains. You don't need two entirely separate sets of spares, two logistics trails. That saves money and simplifies everything.
Less complexity, lower costs. Makes sense. What about keeping them flying? Maintenance?
Much easier. Technicians trained on the Air Force Rafales already know the core systems. Their skills largely transfer over.
So faster training, quicker repairs.
Yes, and shared knowledge bases. It means potentially higher readiness rates, more planes available to fly when needed.
And for the pilots, is it an easy switch?
Much easier than transitioning to a completely different aircraft type. They'll know the cockpit layout, the basic handling, reduces training time and cost significantly, allows for more flexibility in assigning air crews too.
So it builds a more unified ecosystem almost.
That's a good way to put it. It fosters operational efficiencies. Air Force and Navy using the same platform can develop common tactics procedures.
Makes joint operations smoother.
Much smoother. Imagine combined strikes or integrated air defense. And of course, the cost savings from economies of scale, buying parts in bulk, shared training infrastructure. It all adds up.
So this commonality isn't just convenient, it's a real force multiplier. Strengthens the whole deterrence picture.
Yeah, absolutely. It leads to a more cohesive, integrated, and ultimately more potent defense strategy for India.
Let's focus back on that Indian Ocean dominance idea. How does the Rafale M specifically help India control, or at least monitor, those key maritime choke points?
Right. The choke points are critical. The Rafale M gives the Indian Navy a much stronger, more persistent presence across the IOR. Think about the Strait of Malacca.
Crucial for trade, especially China's energy imports.
Extremely crucial. Then you have the Sunda and Lombok Straits, alternatives to Malacca, and the Ombai-Wetar Strait, important for submarine movements.
These are all strategic hotspots.
Definitely. And the Rafale M, operating from carriers, extends India's ability to watch over these areas. Its surveillance capabilities mean better monitoring.
And the strike capability means potentially controlling them.
Potentially interdicting traffic, yes, if the situation demanded it. Having that credible capability to monitor and act significantly increases India's leverage and can limit China's freedom of movement in the region.
So it's about shaping the environment, reducing China's influence further afield too.
Exactly. By asserting more control in the IOR, India solidifies its role as the primary security provider there and complicates strategic calculations for others, including China's access to Africa and the Middle East.
Now, another really interesting angle was the comparison why Rafale M over the FA-18 Super Hornet. The U.S. jet was in the running too.
Yes, it was a serious contender. And the available analysis points to a few key reasons for India choosing the Rafale.
What was top of the list?
The missile capability, again, that Meteor air-to-air missile with its longer range compared to the AMRAAM on the Super Hornet was seen as a significant tactical advantage.
Okay, the reach out and touch someone factor.
Pretty much. Then there was a really crucial strategic element, nuclear delivery.
Ah, right. The Rafale can be configured for that.
Sources indicate France agreed to the necessary integrations and support for India to potentially deliver nuclear weapons using the Rafale platform, both Air Force and Navy variants.
And the U.S. wouldn't allow that on the Super Hornet?
Apparently not.
Yeah.
That's a fundamental strategic capability that the Rafale offered, adding a major dimension to India's deterrence, especially from the sea. That's a big differentiator.
A huge one. What about the practical side? Costs, logistics.
That commonality factor we discussed played heavily here too. Going with the Super Hornet meant a whole new training setup, new maintenance lines, new spare parts inventory. Very expensive, very complex.
Sticking with Rafale avoids all that headache.
Exactly. Leveraging the existing IAF infrastructure saves significant money and time. Now, the Super Hornet did have some points in his favor, potentially better wing folding, a dedicated electronic warfare version, maybe a wider range of currently integrated weapons.
But not enough to outweigh the Rafale's advantages for India.
It seems the combination of the Meteor missile, the nuclear capability, and the massive logistical benefits of commonality made the Rafale M the better strategic fit for India's specific needs, despite the Super Hornet's strengths.
Okay, that makes the decision process much clearer. So looking ahead now, with the Rafale M coming into service, what new capabilities or scenarios does this open up for the Indian Navy?
Well, several things. We've touched on enhanced ISR intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance. They'll be much better at tracking ship movements, submarine activity across the IOR. Real-time intelligence is gold.
Knowing what the other side is up to.
Absolutely. Then there's strategic deterrence. Having these potent fighters deployable from carriers far from India's shores sends a very clear message. Rapid power projection.
Deters potential aggression before it starts.
That's the idea. It also boosts India's ability to work with partner navy.
Joint exercises, like with the Quad countries.
Exactly. Operating a modern, capable fighter like the Rafale M enhances interoperability in exercises with the U.S., Japan, Australia, France, others, strengthens those security partnerships in the Indo-Pacific.
Any other areas? Cyber, electronic warfare.
Yes, electronic dominance is increasingly important. The Rafale M brings advanced EW systems. That means better ability to jam enemy radar, disrupt communications, maybe even conduct cyber operations. It helps counter the technological edge adversaries might try to gain.
So it really feels like more than just buying planes. It's a fundamental upgrade to India's naval power and its place in the region.
I think that's the right way to see it. It's a strategic leap. Bolsters their air power at sea significantly, directly addresses the changing dynamics with China in the IOR.
And that interoperability piece seems crucial too.
It is. The commonality with the Air Force, the strategic reasons for choosing this specific jet, it all points to a very deliberate long-term vision for maritime security and stability in a vital part of the world.
So for everyone listening, understanding this Rafale M deal really gives you a window into India's bigger geopolitical thinking, its maritime strategy. It's about much more than just the hardware.
It truly is. And it leads to a final thought, perhaps. Given how fast naval tech is changing and the power shifts in the Indo-Pacific, what else might India need? What other assets, developed or acquired, will be crucial for them to maintain that strategic edge in the next decade?
That's a really interesting question to ponder.
It's a dynamic situation. This Rafale M deal is a major step, a vital piece, but the strategic game is always evolving. Definitely something to keep an eye on.